The countdown to Pokemon Day is here, and we're just a few days away, and they may have hit some hints about what they're gonna reveal in the most recent trailer. We've also got a new rumor that could shed some light into what to expect next week. Let's take a look. Okay, so if you actually missed it, Pokemon did post this yesterday saying that there was a new Presents on the way. It was coming next week on Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's a short little video, right? And you see the Pokemon flying across the screen. I do want to point out, and I'm going to point it out in a bit more, these are all Generation 1 Pokemon, which I find pretty interesting. You've got your starters, you've got, you know, some of the early game Pug Pokemon, some of the early game Rao Pokemon, so on and so forth. Then you've got your Pokemon Day logo, and then a lot of balloons and celebration. If you notice, the color scheme they're using is gonna be blue, red, yellow, and then there's a little bit of green going on here as well. Now, listen, you might say, oh, well, what does this have to do with anything? I do think it's important to recognize that one, they only show Generation 1 Pokemon, and two, we have red, blue, and yellow balloons, and then a little bit of green sprinkled in. I found that to be quite interesting, especially with a lot of rumors about potentially having some ports from old games coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is very interesting to me. Now, our team actually took every single one of those Pokemon that was shown at the beginning and kind of looked at their sprites to see if we could figure out where those sprites came from. And we actually found that there was a good amount of kind of connectivity to the original red and green version. So for those that don't know, we got red and blue here in the United States and across most of the world, but they actually originally released red and green in Japan. And then of course they released Fire Red, Leaf Green down the road in terms of remakes. There's a lot of sprites here that actually do match up with some of those original red and green sprites. So I'm curious if there's gonna be some sort of pointing towards that. Not saying for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a port of green. We know in LGPE, they had a focus on the character green towards the end of the game. They've obviously remade Fire Red, Leaf Green. Perhaps we're gonna get some sort of a port to the Nintendo Switch. Time will tell. But nonetheless, you cannot deny the symbolism for Generation 1 in whatever this announcement is about to be. Now, there was a pretty big rumor floating around the community. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. Before I do that though, Joe Merrick reports on the fact that the Japanese account is saying that this Presents next week is 25 minutes. However, the English account is 20 minutes. So we'll have to wait and see how long it's gonna be, but Joe doing the work for us, breaking down previous presents going back to 2020, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 20 minutes, 27 minutes, 13 minutes, 19 minutes. If this is indeed 25 minutes, it's gonna be the second longest presents we've ever had. If it's 20 minutes, it's gonna be up there with one of the longest presents we've ever had. So generally in the past, they've been 10, maybe 15, 20 minutes. This one's looking to be pretty long, which means it's gonna be packed with a lot of information. However, generally a lot of that information is probably gonna be on spin-off games and kind of secondary type games. Time will tell on that, but I've got some really cool ideas here. Before we go into that though, I want to let you guys know we still have our sale going on for one more day at teamshiny.com. You can pick up our awesome merch, our awesome t-shirts available now. Use code SHINY to get 20% off any shirts, hoodies, and more. Check it out, teamshiny.com. We just dropped a bunch of brand new designs. Celebrate Pokemon Day in style with some sweet merch. You're gonna look awesome and you can rep your favorite shiny Pokemon, of course, so don't miss out. teamshiny.com, don't miss the sale. Now, I found it very interesting that Joe Merrick posted this as well, indicating that both Diamond and Pearl remakes and Black and White remakes were trending in Japan. I found that very interesting. A lot of excitement over this potential. Every year, there's always the potential that they're gonna do a new remake or they're gonna do some kind of revisit to an old game, and that's where we're gonna actually head to next on our rumor. Just to tell you guys a little bit about what happened last year. Last year, they announced new shirts. They had the Masters 2.5-year anniversary, which they released May in one of the laddies. They had the Johto Tour and Pokemon Go. They had a Pokemon Day event with Hoopa and Pokemon Unite. They did a login bonus for Cafe Remix. They did a Gigantamax event with Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise. Shaman event. They announced and released the Arceus Daybreak event for the DLC for Arceus, and then they revealed Scarlet and Violet. So ultimately, a pretty action-packed Presents last year. Then we see this post here. Light88 posted this yesterday on Twitter. I saw it initially. This was actually posted before the Presents was announced, I believe. But I found it to be very interesting, and initially I kind of wrote it off, but I feel like I'm not doing my job covering rumors and leaks if I don't cover this, because so many people have seen this post at this point. 640,000 views, and I came across this, like I said, right away, and I was like, but a lot of people have seen this, a lot of people are commenting on it, and a lot of people are speculating that there could be some truth to this. Now, I'm gonna tell you that I'm thinking that this is just a rumor post, but let's take a look, because you don't know. It's possible. At this point, leaks could be real. Opening video celebrating 27 years of Pokemon. Obviously, going to be some focus on Gen 1 there. Pokemon Go mystery raid event. Now, I don't follow Pokemon Go a ton anymore. I know that there's a lot of talk in the community right now about them changing some of the remote raids and how some of the functionality works there. So I think there's actually a lot of negativity in that community right now. I know they just had some issues at an event this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know about a mystery raid event. I can't really speak to that. Pokemon Sleep coming 2024. Feels a little weird. I could see them doing an update on Sleep. Feels a little weird for it to be next year and them talk about it this year, unless it's gonna be like early next year. Maybe they just bring it up to let people know that it's still in the works, right? Like we saw those patents. We've talked about that on the channel. We know that it's still in the works. Is it coming? When is it coming? I think it could be really interesting. Pokemon Cafe Remix. So they did Pokemon Cafe Mix, then Pokemon Cafe Remix. This is saying Pokemon Cafe Remix, a reimagining of a classic mobile game. I didn't know it was classic at this point. I've never played Cafe Remix, so I can't really speak to that either, if I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not surprised though if they were to call it Remix. I wouldn't be surprised. Pokemon Ultimate Mystery Dungeon trailer. A new game using newly developed AI tech to generate expansive dungeons unlike ever seen before. Now that is interesting. From a mystery dungeon perspective, we believe there's a mystery dungeon game coming because the Pokemon Day website actually has copyright information to the company that actually makes mystery dungeons. So a lot of people are speculating that there's gonna be a mystery dungeon game launched, but this idea that they would have like AI generated dungeons that are like randomized as opposed to like more so concrete when they're developing the game could add a tremendous amount of replayability to something like this. That could be very interesting. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl coming to Switch Online. We just got Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. I feel like it'd be kind of weird for them to do Diamond and Pearl to Switch Online, but perhaps they're gonna do, you know, it's possible. We know that there's a lot of talks about them porting some of the old games over like we talked about at the beginning of the video, so that would be super interesting. Pokemon Legends, the Burned Tower teaser. That is something that has me very excited. So we've talked, and I've even made a video on the channel about Pokemon Legends Celebi, or like Pokemon, you know, Legends Johto or whatever, right? This idea that we could be potentially going to Johto for a Legends game. This is saying Pokemon Legends The Burned Tower teaser. That could be, again, just very interesting. I wonder if it would be like a DLC to the existing Pokemon Legends game or if it'd be a new game in general. Feels a little weird that they would announce that unless that's coming at the end of the year. But then the next thing they say is that Scarlet and Violet expansion pass is coming in 2 waves. The Deep Abyss coming on March 3rd, which is so soon, and Summer Break coming on June 30th. So if you were to do that, I could see them doing a teaser for a new Legends game and doing the 2 DLCs, March 3rd and June 30th. The reason why I mentioned that Arceus dropped a DLC like right away is because this rumor is saying that they're gonna drop a DLC right away, which honestly wouldn't be that crazy. Like, I guess it's a possibility that we could get a DLC in the next few weeks right away. Like, I feel like in our brains we're thinking, oh, it's gotta be like Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra where it's gonna take, you know, a few months before it comes out, but they may just drop it. You just don't know. And then it says ending trailer teases Unova remakes coming 2023. And this is where I kind of get lost, right? It feels a little weird to me to say, okay, we're gonna have Pokemon Legends teaser, we're gonna have 2 DLCs, and then at the end of the year, we're gonna have a Black and White remake, a Unova remake. Why, like, I feel like if it was one or the other, Legends versus Unova, it would make sense, but both just feels weird to tease both, because how do you fit those both in? That's the part that hangs me up on this. Like, that's the part that has me wondering, like, the legitimacy of this post. But like I said, I feel like I had to cover it, man. When something gets almost 600,000+ views spread around the community, I gotta give my take on it. So let me know what you guys think, but that just feels like too much. It feels too good. It feels too much. I just don't see how they're gonna fit all that in a presents when they're focusing on this year, right? Like, to me, the focal point would be the DLCs, and then if they are gonna release a remake at the end of the year, maybe tease towards that as well. But I would almost think they would just do DLC focus in terms of main series games. No mention of Detective Pikachu on here as well, which I think is something that would probably get some light, but time will tell. So let me know what your thoughts are on this rumor post and everything else going on. I'm gonna do a deep dive later this week on what we can expect, what I actually think we're gonna get personally. So stay tuned for that. I've got all the notes, just gotta make the video, so that'll be a good one. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, check out this one right here if you haven't, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.